Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in webinar land, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Glenn Johnson. I'm a Senior Vice President here at Magic Software Enterprises, and I'm joined today by Ted Brennan, a Senior Consultant at Magic Software Americas. Welcome, Ted.
Thanks for having me, Glenn. Glad to be here.
Great, and thanks to all of you for joining us. Today's webinar, Integrate Your Salesforce to SAP ERP, has been prepared to introduce you to solutions for faster, easier integration of your Salesforce to SAP systems. And so we're going to look at today's topic. The topic, of course, will show you how to successfully integrate your Salesforce CRM to SAP ERP. You'll be able to learn how to use SAP certified methods and a 5-star Salesforce App Exchange adapter to manage your business processes running between Salesforce and your ERP. This includes automating opportunity to order conversions, accounts receivable status, master item data, and much more. The solution that we'll be showing you in the demonstration today is one that carries SAP certified integration as well as being Salesforce App Exchange certified. So we're very pleased to be able to show you that demo today. If you have questions at any time during today's webinar, we encourage you to enter them into the chat box and send them to the host and presenter, and we'll be happy to take those questions at the conclusion of the formal presentation. Some basic considerations as we enter into today's topic. Of course, ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. It's a major software system used in most businesses and enterprises today, and SAP is the world's leading provider of SAP systems. The SAP ECC 6 is the current major release of SAP's leading ERP system for the enterprise. And we also want to remind you that since we're talking about Salesforce, which is a cloud-based solution, and SAP, which is either on-premise or can be run in the cloud as well, then we would be talking possibly, for most of you, I would say, about hybrid cloud integration, which is sometimes needed to span this integration between cloud-based solutions and on-premise enterprise applications. So those are some basic considerations as we enter into today's webinar. First, I guess we should ask the question, why? Why would we need to integrate Salesforce and SAP in our enterprises today? Well, first of all, integration is needed. You need to answer questions about opportunity to order conversions. Be able to actually take an opportunity in Salesforce, which your salesperson is working on developing, and then, if everything goes well, they get the order, right? Well, how do you then convert that into an order in the SAP system so that it seamlessly happens in the background and you can automate that conversion process? How do you make sure that the products that you have listed in your ERP system are the same as those products that you have in Salesforce? You need some sort of synchronization there, don't you? What about inventory? If I'm going to sell something, I want to know if it's in stock or not. My customer wants an answer to that question. So inventory is typically managed on the ERP side of the house, but the CRM users need information about that. The same is true for credit status. If we're selling to a customer working on an opportunity, we want to know if the customer is in good credit standing, how much available credit they have, and so on. Shipping status would be another similar question. If I've sold something to my customer, they're going to ask that classic question, where's my stuff? Therefore, the keep calm, but where's my stuff meme on the right side. And then you also are going to have questions about order history, things like configure price quote integration or CPQ integration, and much more. So integration is one of the key reasons to implement an integration platform solution. It also helps with the optimization of those business processes, however. You get real-time synchronization instead of manual processes that follow at who knows when, or old batch job ETL-based type solutions. You get better control of your business rules. You have process-driven triggers and alerts that keep everything working together across multiple enterprise systems. And this also allows you to incorporate and disseminate third-party data, which might be something like information from LinkedIn or from D&B or Discover.org, Data.com, etc. And you also have the opportunity to optimize processes by improving the quality of the data, removing duplicates, pending information, to records such as an email address that might be missing, or a phone number, or something of that nature. doing an address correction service call. All of these can be greatly enhanced and coordinated between your ERP and your CRM system, Salesforce and SAP. And also you can do things like replicating cloud data locally. So there's a lot of optimization processes that can occur, and so therefore the meme, keep calm, but why are there duplicates? You know, duplicates and bad data quality are just a constant annoyance to people. And also the lag of information. That real-time synchronization is really key to optimizing your business processes. And then finally, we would say an important reason is to improve those business processes. You know, you get that 360-degree view of the customer. You avoid manual reentry and errors. You build automated recovery processes, and you mobilize your business processes so that suddenly the confluence of information between SAP as your ERP system and Salesforce as your CRM system can appear simultaneously in a very simple, discrete mobile app that allows your knowledge workers who are on the go, who are out to dinner or whatever it might be, to accomplish key tasks. Therefore, the internet means keep calm and get mobile. So lots of reasons to integrate, optimize, and improve in order to really have a better implementation of Salesforce and SAP in your businesses. But in order to do that, we need to leverage enterprise integration patterns for SAP and Salesforce. In other words, the exposed APIs and methods that are provided. It's important as the IT department who's making this integration take place to know how to do that. So let's first look at the how in terms of what's available for integration, and then we'll look at the how in terms of what's available to actually perform the integration. So SAP opens up a number of integration methods. If you're on SAP ECC6, you have a lot of options and choices. Older versions of SAP may have more limited versions. Maybe you're all the way back on an R3 or something like that, and that's okay. Actually, the solutions we're talking about today will work with a wide range of releases and versions, going, you know, all the way back into the R3 era. But you're going to be looking at both NetWeaver and non-NetWeaver-based integration methods that are available from SAP. Sometimes that's through these older, long-standing, proven methods, BAPI, ABAP, IDOC. You may want to do ALE inbound and outbound. Web services, of course, are very common requirements. And with NetWeaver, of course, whether it's the XIPI versions that you might be on, you have a lot of options for integration there. You also have options through SAP BW and BI and so forth. So there are these various methods that are available to you, and including, of course, the ABAP connector and batch input connectors and so on. So what we're talking about today will support any of these methods, which is very important on the SAP side. Well, what's exposed and available on the Salesforce side that we might also want to be able to integrate with? Well, integrating with Salesforce tends to get us involved with objects, metadata, bulk jobs, replication, and lead conversion. So the capabilities for dealing with these we'll look at individually. First of all, with Salesforce objects, you have the ability to get the list of objects, get the timestamp on the object, update the object structure. If you have objects that need to be merged, you can merge those. So full capabilities for working with and manipulating the objects that are in use within Salesforce, including those customized objects that might be a part of your system. You can also leverage all the metadata and do this classic create, read, update, and delete operations on your metadata, check the state of it, retrieve it, deploy it, and so on. Also important in the Salesforce world and parlance is the idea of being able to work with bulk jobs or batches of information, so that rather than having to integrate onesie twosie on records, you're actually able to work with bulks jobs if that's appropriate for your situation. And of course, there's also the ability to replicate that Salesforce data. Some organizations, for regulatory purposes or other reasons, want to have that locally stored and replicated, and so you can schedule processes that enable replication from Salesforce as well. And then, of course, as we mentioned, there's those processes related to really triggering the continuance of a business operation from one system to the other, and within Salesforce to triggering things like the lead conversion process, one of those key moments in Salesforce where you kind of stop being a lead and suddenly you become three different things, where you become that business opportunity, you become an account, and you become a contact within that account. So that ability to control those moments when the lead conversion takes place within Salesforce, rather than relying manually on one of your Salesforce users to make that conversion happen. So how do we do this? As we said, in order to take advantage of all of those capabilities within Salesforce and SAP for integration, you need a higher level tool. You don't want to be writing code point to point, because that's really out of compliance with best practice in the industry today. What you want to do instead is manipulate an integration platform that brings it all into a visual drag, drop, and configure approach. And so the Magic XPI integration platform provides you with that holistic development and integration capability, where you have pre-built adapters for specific enterprise applications, as well as a wide array of technology adapters that are so important because they enable you to connect with a virtually unlimited number of software applications out there through the API of that software, which is using capabilities like web services, or maybe you're trying to do Internet of Things integration and you need to do MQTT manipulations, or maybe you just need to work directly with a database or through a messaging queue or some other type of communication protocol, HTTP, FTP, and so on. So there's just so many different options technically out there for integration, many of which have been used over the years, that it's important for your integration platform to do what the Magic XPI integration platform does, which is provide a mix of technology adapters and specific application adapters for major systems such as SAP and Salesforce that we're talking about today. So as we introduce the Magic XPI integration platform, I thought it might be useful to actually review a video.
The world has gone digital. Your customers, employees, and partners expect anytime, anywhere communications, instant responses, and up-to-date information. Your competitors also know this. The battle for customer attention and loyalty will be won by the ability to support business requests better and faster. To surpass the competition, you must find a way to enable your systems to truly work together at the speed of life. A free flow of information across your organization will allow you to carry out complex business processes in no time and develop new ways to reach your goals. Magic XPI, Magic Software's code-free integration platform, sets a new standard in system integration. Now, you can easily bring together all data and devices and create new apps, experiences, and offerings in minutes. Magic XPI provides pre-built and certified adapters to leading IT systems, as well as the ability to connect virtually anything else. Highly agile and totally scalable, Magic XPI enables you to complete sophisticated integration flows easily, so you can support all business requests quickly and reliably. Magic XPI serves some of the world's leading organizations, allowing them to focus on building the best processes and apps to advance their business. So, are you ready to outperform your competition? Then start integrating your business. Magic XPI. Get integrated.
So there's a quick look into the Magic XPI integration platform, and we're certainly going to show you a lot more in the demonstration. Just a couple of notes here. First of all, we want to emphasize that Magic XPI has the certifications that you're going to want. We have SAP certified integration, and we provide those integration methods that we referred to, the NetWeaver and BAPIs and ABAPs and IDOCs and all the things that that are important are available to you for your integration. We're also certified on the App Exchange with Salesforce, and as you notice, there are 5 stars here. So Magic XPI is a 5-star App Exchange certified solution. The Magic XPI integration platform for Salesforce is something that has been available now for almost 10 years and really is getting great reviews in terms of how you can use it in your enterprise. So let's talk a little bit about it. The Magic XPI Studio is where you design and build the integration flows that you're going to want to use to connect SAP to Salesforce in either direction, bidirectionally, as well as the other enterprise systems and mobile apps and things that you may have in your environment. So it's a very fast, friendly environment. We say it's code-free, meaning that you can drag, drop, and configure a business process visually, as you saw briefly in the video and you'll see in the demo. And so a business analyst is really an ideal user for this type of system, someone who understands the back-end data structures of the applications that are being used and also understands what the business users are trying to accomplish from a functional standpoint. So it allows you to use that one skill set across multiple application integration requirements in your organization. It's a very friendly, studio-based approach. In fact, it's based on Visual Studio, so it'll be a familiar and intuitive look and feel for any developers in your organization as well. And it provides a very nice user experience to those that are using the Design Studio. Very productive environment with these 100+ pre-built components and methods that are out there. With the certified and optimized adapters that we've been talking about, as well as the technology adapters that are available. So lots of capabilities that are built in to the Magic XPI Studio. If you were to look at it visually, it has nice interface. You can tab between multiple documents, or multiple flows, if you will. You can utilize the zoom bar to zoom in on the specific areas within a flow, or to zoom out to see the entire process of that flow. You can utilize your toolbox for dragging and dropping and configuring the integration steps. The flow steps are laid out there in the main pane. You have a checker so that you can actually step through a business process and see if there are any problems in what you've created. You have this mini-map tool for moving around the screen, property sheets, and so on. So lots built in there. And we also have a very powerful data mapper. I'm going to let Ted go into the details of the data mapper for you. But again, a visual interface where you can just connect the lines between data fields on the left to the right and actually implement your integration. So very, very intuitive. You also have capabilities for orchestrating things while they're running on the server. You've designed the orchestration so that it all executes business processes between systems at runtime, and you can monitor all of that that's going on. So supports a full range of enterprise integration patterns, whether it be ESB capabilities for real-time triggers and web services, or ETL types of capabilities for scheduled data mapping type activities, BPM or business process management capabilities for controlling the complex business logic, the messaging, and other protocols that you need to support. And as I said, when you can do all that on the server, you can also monitor it. So you have remote monitoring capabilities. You can see at a glance both the management of your in-memory computing environment, as well as the logging of the individual steps within a flow. So there's a lot of detail there through the multiple monitor views that are provided into what's going on in the back end. And that monitor can be very visual when you're looking at it in terms of managing the overall in-memory usage of the system. And then you can also, as I said, start looking at logging of specific activities and so on. So there's a lot of capabilities built into that monitor. Also allows you to control the active-to-active clustering of that in-memory system. Very nice, intuitive visual interfaces are available for that as well, so you can see what the status is of the Magic XPI space. You can see if there are any of those spaces that are broken, for example. Maybe you've got bad area in memory. So you really can control your IT integration processes and make sure that the high availability and scalability, elastic scalability that you're looking for are actually in fact available to your integration project. The Magic XPI server is very robust, as we've been suggesting. It has that high scalability and high availability, almost like a self-healing kind of environment, because you have that monitor view. You can see what's wrong. You can make sure that you have the available space and servers supporting those spaces for memory, for processing in an active-active cluster kind of configuration. So we call it an in-memory data grid. This provides a messaging layer for very low latency, high scalability, high availability environments. And also built into that Magic XPI server and all the processes that you design are the security protocols that you need to make sure that your integration environment is fully locked down and secure in terms of encryption and decryption and transport protocols and user rights and authentication and so forth. Now, analysts have reacted very positively to this. We've been covered by Forrester and Gartner and other analyst organizations for years. Most recently, Ovum, in their On the Radar report, suggested that Magic XPI integration platform is a good option for organizations that need a flexible and scalable approach to on-premise, cloud, and mobile application integration that does not require highly skilled or specialized developers. The integration platform offers the right mix of developer-centric features and enterprise-grade data security, operational management and failover, and automated recovery capabilities, as well as helping reduce infrastructure footprint and TCO. When combined with the Magic XPA application platform and MDM solution, it offers a comprehensive approach for developing, integrating, and deploying enterprise-grade mobile applications. We haven't focused a lot on mobile today. We'll have a little bit more to say about that, but that's also one of the capabilities that the analysts wanted to emphasize. Let's also listen not just to analysts, because I know there are differing views of the value of analyst reports, but I think sometimes it's important to hear things directly from customers who are actually using the systems that we're talking about.
When we first originally purchased the Magic XPI, we thought we would be utilizing it for only our applications on our smartphones. And it was a real eye-opener when we found out that the Magic XPI could be also used for integration between systems. We connect with the XPI, we connect between SAP systems, we connect between our time management system, our Microsoft Active Directory systems to populate data there. Basically, we're taking our legacy systems and modernizing them and optimizing them through Magic XPI. We have something what we're going in for the long term. We're sweeping up also now the old processes and bringing them into the Magic. I like the flexibility. I like the easeability that you click and plug what you want to do and just customize a few variables and get the results you want. I think we can best qualify the results of implementing Magic XPI in our company. Made the connections between our systems a lot less maintenance intensive. We've reduced the complexity and produced a system which is very future orientated, where it's easier to maintain and to evolve. Our future plans for using Magic software are utilizing it with connections between other new applications, with connections to sister companies, with connections B2B solutions. The future is open because of the easiness of the software and the interfaces, which basically we can define. I would recommend Magic to a colleague with a smile and a wink. With the smile, I would say utilize Magic software for many things. It can do anything you wish it to do. But with a wink, I would say take the time and learn the software, because you can realize things what you did not think you could do with the software. I'm concentrating on projects which are to help not only the company. I'm making projects to help colleagues, to make help their lives in our company easier.
So I really like that, comments that he's bringing about his integration. He's doing SAP integration in others environments, and it's very interesting in terms of the way that he sees it, the value of it, not only in the benefits to the company, which we talked about a lot at the beginning, but also the fact that the IT department and their lives are enhanced because lack of stress. It just takes less time and less worry in order to accomplish the integration that you need in these enterprise environments where the processes that are taking place, let's face it, are mission critical to your organization. So just a brief word about Magic Software. We said we want to mention just a little bit more about the mobile capabilities of Magic. We offer an end-to-end enterprise mobility capability that begins with the Magic XPA application platform, where you can create mobile apps and deploy them across multiple environments, iOS, Android, Windows, and so on, and then integrate those using Magic XPI integration platform that we've been talking about extensively today, so that they're integrated to the various enterprise systems that you have in your organization. We also offer the Magic Mobile Device Management Solution, which is a very nice tool for IT managers who want to control what happens when the user loses the phone, or what happens when the user leaves a geo-fenced area that we consider to be secure and enters into the regular world. How should the user rights change and access to certain apps change, and so forth. So that is the MDM solution. And then, of course, we offer professional services. So really what we call an end-to-end mobile solution for extending and enhancing your back-end enterprise system capabilities, Salesforce, SAP, and other systems, in order to provide discrete, usable mobile apps for your knowledge workers. Magic's a company that has a strong foundation of over 33 years. We're traded publicly on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol MGIC. We have a strong history of revenues and profitability, over 1,000 employees, some 24 global offices with customers in more than 50 countries. We work with a number of business partners, some 3,500 worldwide, and many of those are companies that have expertise in SAP, that have expertise in Salesforce, and then millions of users worldwide that are depending upon the ecosystem for Magic XPI integration platform and the Magic XPA application platform. We certainly invite you to request case studies regarding the integration solutions that we've talked about. Feel free to contact us for a free case study by sending an email to info@magicsoftware.com or giving us a call, 949-250-1718, extension 259. You can ask for Angela there. If you're outside of North America, by all means, feel free to look up contact information for your country area, and that is accessible from the Magic Software website at www.magicsoftware.com, and you can look up our worldwide locations there. So we also would invite you to use the same approach for contacting us if you'd like to see a more in-depth demo following the one that Ted is about to offer us here today. So with that introduction, I want to turn things over to Ted, who's going to share his desktop with us and allow us to see a demonstration of the actual Magic XPI integration platform. This is not PowerPoint slides anymore. You're now going to see the real thing. So Ted, welcome, and please take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Glenn. So I'm Ted, and I'm the sales engineer here, and I'm going to show you Magic XPI. Glenn, can you see my screen?
Absolutely.
All right, well, Glenn can see it. That means everybody can see it. So this is the new XPI Design Studio, where we build the relationships with the various applications we're working with. And this is out as of August of this year, so just a few weeks ago. And as you can see, it does have a Visual Studio look and feel because it opens in a Visual Studio shell. So For those of you who've done development, this environment should look very comfortable to you, and that's why we did that. This is still a drag and drop utility. We've made some improvements that makes flowing through the utility a lot easier. So the first part is in the front. This is actually, as you can see, where normally the code would be. Here are the various steps for this particular integration, which is from Salesforce going to SAP, and it's made up of these things here from the top and to the right we call flows. So XPI is a event-driven utility. So the event can be creating new records or updating existing records as the need may be. So in this particular example, I'm taking new accounts from Salesforce, and I'm creating new customers in SAP. But I could just as easily be changing some metadata, so it could just as easily go the other way. So if I have somebody who changes their phone number, who has access to SAP, I could sync that back to Salesforce and so on. And the code is reusable in these flows. So as you can see, I got a couple of different flows here. So I have another flow here that adds to JDE. So that's an important consideration when we're doing our integrations, that we can, once we have the information we need, we can send it to multiple different directions. So the logic would be the same. So here, if I wanted to add some additional functionality, like say creating sales orders from Salesforce, well, as we all know, one of the dependencies to creating a sales order in SAP or really any other ERP is adding the, you have to create customers and item masters and things like that. Well, since I already have the logic to create the customer, I could create, if I start another flow that creates a sales order, where I could leverage this existing flow to create the customer at the same time. So it's scalable and reusable, and it can go in multiple different directions. We could simultaneously integrate with other applications. So if you've got a separate e-commerce application that's creating sales orders in SAP, we can go ahead and do it that multiple different ways. So it's just a matter of whatever your particular business process requires. So as you can see, it's drag and drop, and it's made up of these things called connectors. So here, or components rather, so these connectors and components, they not only give us connectivity to these various applications we're working with, but they also come with the built-in protocols for integration. So on this particular example, as we all know, SAP, it's not supported to write directly to the SAP database, so we're using the BAPIs, and so anybody who works with SAP knows exactly what that is. So if I go into configuration, I get the data mapper over, it shows me the different BAPIs. So this one's I'm creating a customer form data BAPI. So it comes with that integration logic already built in. So we're using this, we're leveraging the technology that exists with a particular product. We're not doing an end run around the application. So it comes with that technology built in already. So, and as you can see, I got really two different kinds of connectors. So here, I've got some for SAP, and so these are what we call application specific, the design, built, and licensed by that particular application. So this is actually certified by SAP. Our Salesforce integration is a Force.com compliant integration connector that will that's certified by Salesforce. So, but if I have an opportunity to integrate with something we don't have a built-in connector for, well, that's okay, because I got some more generic ones too. So if I have a WCF client, a web service, I can point directly to that. If another application out there puts out a WSDL, I can go ahead and point to that WSDL and get all the methods and properties of that WSDL. I have a generic HTTP connector, which allows me to build and consume and provide my own HTTP web service, POST or SOAP. I have a data mapper, which allows me to connect to any database out there and talk to the database in its native format. So if we're doing queries against, say, a SQL database, it can talk in SQL. If I'm doing queries to an Oracle database, it can talk in Oracle. If I'm doing queries with an IBM database, it can talk in IBM. And it can do it as though it was the native application. So doing a query through our data mapper is just like doing a query in the application. It's not just limited to simple queries. I can do queries and inner joins and outer joins and pivots and anything you can do in a database. So I can load from a flat file. new with this version, I have an FTP connector, which not only handles regular FTP, but also handles secure FTP as well. So the general idea behind XPI is that we can take any application and integrate with any other application in a code-free drag-and-drop utility. So I'm going to go into detail a little bit, and I'm going to show you how this particular integration works. So all of our connectors here do what we call schema discovery. So when I go to this configuration, I'm doing a query against the account object, and I'm returning all of the variables. Okay, so when people come to us and they say, well, Ted, I have an SAP and I have Salesforce or I have something else, and I've got custom data points in there. I've got custom index fields. Well, that's okay, because every time I do a connection to that environment, I'm saying, give me everything you have. So everything you have will be available to me. I can go ahead and connect it and grab it. So, and this allows you to maintain your integrations a lot quicker too. So unlike a typical point-to-point integration, if you've built some code and somebody wants to add an index field, even though we have web services and all these other tools that assist us with integration, point-to-point integration, it still breaks your integration. You still got to go back and go back in your public function. You got to add another variable and those kinds of things. Well, here, all I have to do is refresh the schema. The new index field would pop up, and I could recompile and redeploy, and it'll really speeds up the changes you may need to make to your integration. Okay. Now, as you can see, I'm doing a query against the account. I'm getting all new accounts, and I'm passing it to an XML variable. And that typically is how we do all our integrations. We don't typically go from one environment to another, and that can be for a number of reasons, but mainly it allows us to validate the data we're getting. It allows us to possibly build that data for other lookups we may need to do. So, and this is just turning an account from Salesforce into a customer and SAP, but if we're doing something a little bit more complicated, like creating a work order or creating a sales order, obviously there's other dependencies there, and there's some constants we may need to pass. So we can take that XML and we can build that out and make sure it is all validated before we pass that on to the destination application. So here in this particular example, I'm creating, and I've got my new accounts, I'm passing it to an XML, and now I'm ready to go to our SAP. So here's the SAP connector, and here's the data mapper opened up, and this is where we do most of our work. So here I have all the fields that I've captured from SAP, and I have all my fields from the create customer from data 1 BAPI, and it's as simple as right-click, connect, from one to the other. You can see a lot of these other ones here. Okay, but as we all know, that's not the end of it. So we may need to finagle that data a little bit. So here's a good example of a typical application we may have to do. So here I have a name value, allows us to manipulate and handle that data. So here I have a name value, and what I'm doing is I'm splitting that between last name and first name using some of these conditions I have here. So when I go into my calculated value, I have a number of different functions that allow me to go ahead and make changes to that. So here, as you can see, I'm going ahead and I'm doing a string token to split between the first part of the string and the second part. But if I go into a clean one that doesn't have any calculations, if I open this up and I go ahead and my calculated values, I have a number of different functions I can apply to this code before I pass that on. So in addition to concatenating name values, and those of you who've done any kind of VB.NET programming, there's a whole list of different ones I have here. Here's concatenate. The one we probably use most is the date-time format. So, let's say just get date and get time. So typically, when we have a date-time format coming from one application, then we have to do some transformations to pass that on to another. So if I select this, and I go into my code here, I can go ahead and see the different parameters I can pass to that value and different switches I can use to go ahead and manipulate that data. So the idea behind XPI is that somebody who does not have the skills of a developer can use this. So the reason it's so drag and drop and we made it so visual is that this is really designed so that a business analyst or someone with that skill can use it. So you don't necessarily need to be a programmer to do all these things. You can grab, you can see visually, you can grab your variables, you can go ahead and manipulate them and pass them on and concatenate, and we can get really elaborate with that. So the idea behind XPI is that we can give a business analyst a tool that's as powerful as Visual Studio, and so a business analyst will be able to do essentially anything a programmer can do. So they can do, there's nothing a programmer can do that a business analyst can't do with this utility right here. So typically when we go into production, we run as a Windows service in the background. It has a very small digital footprint. You don't have to buy a lot of servers or heavy servers. Obviously, it'll run on a VM, like most things nowadays. And since it has a small digital footprint, we utilize a technology called in-memory data grid. So in-memory data grid, what that allows us to do is allows us to get a space on an internal server's RAM, temporarily expand it long enough for us to pass a significant amount of data back and forth. It really speeds up the integration time. Also, it comes with built-in active-active clustering. So typically, we will utilize the advantage of having a digital footprint to deploy to 2 or more servers. So, in a typical point-to-point integration, if you've got a DLL that's just sitting on a server someplace, if that DLL becomes corrupted or the server goes down, there goes your integration. But with our solution, you can go ahead and we can connect those servers with active-active clustering, and so if one server goes down, the other one will go ahead and pick up the slack. Now, what you have before you is our monitoring utility. So typically, if you're doing a point-to-point integration, once you've done all your coding and you have a DLL that's sitting on a server, you really have no visibility as to what's going on with that integration. Well, here, we can monitor all of our projects that are going. So here, I have a number of different projects that I've connected. This is the one I'm running, and so I can filter out accordingly, and I can filter out all the different messages and all the different flows that are happening at any one given time. So that allows me to get significant visibility on the application. And so, by the way, in the user environment, users don't see any of this. And when you do all the actions that happens between your application is blind to the user. They just go ahead and do their normal work, and it runs as a service in the background. But here's where an administrator would go to see the health of their environment. So if I'm getting an application-specific error messages, I can go ahead and pass that here. So if SAP or Sugar or Salesforce or something else is passing an application-specific message, I can go ahead and pass that along here. I can actually pass the metadata that I'm trying to pass between both applications as well. So typically, when we do our coding, we do our best, but sometimes we miss things. So this is a good utility that allows us to see exactly what's being passed between one application to another. So we can see if anything might be validating or failing our validation rules. So as you can see, this is a very powerful utility that allows a business analyst to build integrations in a quick drag and drop utility that allows you to manage your integrations as well. Okay, so Glenn, we have some questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Ted. Great demo, and I appreciate that. We do have some questions come in, but please go ahead and enter additional questions you may have now into the chat box and send them to the host and presenter, and we'll go ahead and take those as they come in. So let's begin with the first question. How does it work with custom Salesforce objects? Oh, good question.
Good question. So with Salesforce, if you create a custom object, I will be able to get that when I do my schema discovery. So if you create custom objects, it's no problem. It's just another field that it will get. We work at the data level, so we go ahead and get the data accordingly.
Okay. The next one, can we inspect the XML data that's being passed? I think you might have answered this after they asked it, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's so good here. That would actually be here. So it'll show up as a little paperclip here, and you just get and open up, and you can inspect it. That's an excellent troubleshooting tool for when you're building your integrations. It's a real significant advantage that our monitor has over other solutions out there.
And what editions of Salesforce are required?
All the most recent editions, I forget exactly, but we go It's compliant with any Force.com application. So,
right. I think the addition probably relates to the API support too. So I think if I recall, it's professional and above. So like professional, enterprise, unlimited. There's a couple of others like the developer or the performance version or something. But those are the main ones: professional, enterprise, unlimited, that people would probably be curious about. So yeah, if you're on those editions, then it's whatever the current edition, whatever the current API release is. I think API 32 and above, something like that.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you see any other questions coming in on your end, Ted? I don't see any others here.
I don't have any more, and then just to kind of go into what I didn't go into this, but just to reiterate what Glenn said earlier. So with Salesforce, the API calls can be, since I believe they charge for API calls. If you've got a bulk update or bulk queries, we can go ahead and do those too. So it supports linear and real time, or we can batch update your environment according to your business process.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ted, and thanks to each of you for joining us today. We appreciate your time, and if you have additional questions, we once again would invite you to contact us at info@magicsoftware.com by email, or just give us a call at Magic Software 949-250-1718, extension 259. Angela is ready and waiting to answer your phone calls, and if by any chance you're outside of North America as you're listening to this, just go to the Magic website at www.magicsoftware.com. Look for the worldwide locations, and you can find a friendly office nearby. So again, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on a future Magic webinar.